Why I'm avoiding people at 65, and you should too. Have you ever felt like you've been giving so much of yourself to others, only to realize you're left feeling drained and unappreciated? Or maybe you've reached a point where the noise and rush of life seem to overwhelm you, and you're looking for peace, simplicity, and more meaningful connections. As I reached 65, I started to see life differently. The way I value time, relationships, and even solitude has changed in ways I never expected. I've learned the hard way that not every connection deserves your energy, and not every relationship is meant to last forever. It's not about avoiding people out of bitterness, but protecting your inner peace. If you're someone who's starting to feel the weight of unnecessary obligations or struggling with balancing social life and personal well-being, this video is for you. Stick around, because I'm about to share the life lessons that led me to embrace this peaceful, fulfilling stage of life. Reaching the age of 65 brings with it a shift in perspective. Time feels different, and relationships begin to transform in ways that you might not have expected. I've spent so many years giving my time and energy to others, always saying yes to every request, attending every gathering, and keeping up with all the social obligations that came my way. But over time, I realized that not every relationship, every interaction, or every moment spent was truly adding value to my life. The truth is, at some point, you have to start choosing where you invest your time and energy more carefully. When I was younger, I often felt like I had all the time in the world. I'd waste hours on things that didn't really matter. There were relationships that weren't fulfilling, but I'd keep them going simply because I felt obligated. I thought I needed to be there for everyone, to show up at every family gathering, or be the friend who was always available. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was sacrificing my peace and energy for others. At 65, I came to understand that time is no longer something I can afford to waste. Time is the one thing we can never get back. Every day becomes a gift, and every moment feels more precious. It's not that I fear running out of time, but I've gained wisdom and clarity that helps me make more intentional decisions about where I spend it. One of the first things I learned was that not every relationship deserves my time. I used to think that if I wasn't constantly present in someone's life, I wasn't being a good friend, family member, or neighbor. But as I've gotten older, I realized that it's okay to step back and reassess what really matters. There's a difference between being present out of obligation and being present because you genuinely care. I no longer feel the need to attend every event, or answer every phone call, or have superficial conversations just to keep up appearances. In fact, I've come to appreciate those quiet moments in life. When I wake up early and sip my coffee in peace, or when I take a walk alone in the park, I find that these moments hold more value than I ever realized before. It's in those moments that I can connect with myself, think clearly, and reflect on what truly brings me joy. Time spent on these small, quiet things has become more valuable than any grand social gathering. As we grow older, it's essential to evaluate our relationships and our commitments. Are the people around us truly uplifting us? Do they bring joy and positivity into our lives, or are they draining us? The truth is, not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some people come into our lives for a season, and it's okay to let go when that season is over. There's no need to force a connection that no longer aligns with who you are. I've learned to embrace the idea that it's okay to let go of relationships that aren't nourishing. It's not about being bitter or angry. It's about making space for the relationships that truly matter. It's about choosing to spend my time and energy on people who genuinely care, who appreciate me for who I am, and who bring out the best in me. This shift in perspective isn't just about reducing the number of people I interact with. It's about quality over quantity. I've realized that a deep, meaningful conversation over a cup of tea can be far more fulfilling than a room full of people who don't really know me. As I let go of certain relationships, I've found that my circle has become smaller, but far more authentic. The people who remain are the ones who understand me, accept me, and make my life richer. Stepping back from relationships isn't about isolating yourself or building walls. It's about honoring your life and your time. It's about recognizing that the moments you spend with others should feel meaningful, not like a chore. As I've gotten older, I've learned to cherish the relationships that add value to my life and let go of the ones that don't. It's not selfish, it's practical. I believe that as we age, we all reach a point where we realize that our time is limited and how we choose to spend it matters. It's no longer about saying yes to everything, being everything to everyone, or keeping up with obligations out of guilt. It's about choosing peace over chaos, simplicity over complexity, and deep connections over shallow ones. And when you start to make those choices, you'll find that your life becomes more fulfilling, more peaceful, and more meaningful. As time moves forward, one of the most significant realizations I've had is the importance of taking care of myself. In the past, I often put others' needs before my own, believing that my worth came from how much I could give or how available I was to help. It wasn't that I didn't value myself, but I never fully understood the impact of neglecting my own well-being for the sake of others. Now, as I've gotten older, I've come to understand that self-care isn't just about indulgence. It's a necessity. It's about recognizing that I can't pour from an empty cup. At 65, I've learned to prioritize my health, both physical and mental, over the constant demands of others. There's a certain guilt that comes with saying no or setting boundaries, especially when you've spent so many years saying yes to everything. But what I've come to realize is that in order to be there for others in a meaningful way, I first need to take care of myself. I can't be the best friend, parent, or mentor if I'm running on empty. I've learned that it's not selfish to put my needs first. It's necessary for my well-being. For years, I struggled with the idea of self-care. I would feel guilty for taking time to rest, or I'd push myself to do things even when I was exhausted, thinking that others needed me more. But now, I've come to understand that taking time to recharge is vital. I've started to create space in my life for activities that nourish me, whether it's a quiet evening at home, a walk through nature, or simply enjoying a good book. These moments of rest and reflection have become a cornerstone of my routine. I don't view them as indulgent anymore. They are necessary breaks that allow me to function at my best in other areas of my life. One of the most significant shifts I've experienced in my approach to self-care is how I've learned to be kinder to myself. In the past, I was quick to criticize myself if I didn't meet the expectations I had set. I would judge myself harshly for not doing enough, not being enough. But with time, I've learned to treat myself with the same compassion I offer to others. I've realized that it's okay to not be perfect, to have limits, and to ask for help when I need it. Aging has taught me that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It's about accepting that I don't have to do everything on my own or carry the weight of the world. I've also learned the importance of staying active, not just for my physical health, but for my mental clarity. In my younger years, I never thought much about exercise. It was something I did sporadically, often as a response to feeling like I needed to lose weight or get fit. But as I've grown older, I've come to appreciate the mental and emotional benefits of staying active. Whether it's going for a walk, taking a yoga class, or simply stretching, movement has become an essential part of my daily routine. It helps clear my mind, reduce stress, and boost my overall mood. I've realized that physical health and mental well-being are inextricably linked, and one cannot thrive without the other. Nutrition has also become a key focus in my self-care routine. In my younger years, I never gave much thought to what I ate, often indulging in unhealthy foods without considering the long-term effects. But as I've aged, I've become more mindful of my diet. Eating nourishing foods has a direct impact on my energy levels and overall health. I've started focusing on meals that fuel my body rather than those that simply satisfy a craving. And while I still indulge in my favorite treats every now and then, I've learned that moderation is key. A crucial aspect of self-care that I've discovered in my 60s is the importance of mental health. I've come to realize that taking care of my mind is just as important as taking care of my body. In earlier years, I didn't always prioritize my emotional health, thinking I could handle everything on my own. But as I've aged, I've become more attuned to my feelings and more willing to seek support when needed. Therapy, meditation, and even simple breathing exercises have become tools that I use to manage stress, anxiety, and the ups and downs that life inevitably brings. Taking the time to process my emotions and practice mindfulness has become an integral part of my self-care routine. As I've embraced self-care, I've also learned that it's okay to let go of the guilt that often comes with taking time for myself. I've stopped apologizing for needing space, for saying no, and for taking care of my own needs. I've learned to accept that doing so doesn't make me any less of a person. It makes me more present, more effective, and ultimately more capable of being the best version of myself. Aging has taught me that self-care is not an optional luxury. It's a vital practice that sustains me through life's challenges and allows me to show up fully for the people and activities that matter most. Over the years, I have become more attuned to the idea that wisdom doesn't just come with age, but with experience. Looking back, I see how every mistake, every failure, and every challenge I faced shaped who I am today. When I was younger, I was more inclined to avoid failure, fearing it would define me or leave me stuck in one place. I wanted to achieve things quickly and without setbacks, believing that success came from perfection. However, as I've grown older, I've come to embrace the idea that mistakes are part of the process of growth. In fact, they are necessary for learning, for discovering who I am, and for developing resilience. In my earlier years, I often compared myself to others, measuring my success against their achievements. I wondered why I hadn't reached certain milestones or accomplished particular goals as quickly as some of my peers. But with age, I've learned that everyone's journey is different. There's no one-size-fits-all path to success or happiness. We are all unique, and our timelines don't have to align with anyone else's. This realization has been incredibly freeing, allowing me to release the pressure I once placed on myself. I've come to appreciate the winding paths, the detours, and the unexpected turns. Life is not about racing to a destination, but about enjoying the journey and learning from every moment. I've also come to understand that success is not always measured by tangible accomplishments. As a younger person, I often thought of success in terms of external markers, career achievements, financial stability, recognition, and accolades. While those things were important, they they didn't provide the lasting fulfillment I was searching for. Now, I measure success differently. It's about the relationships I've built, the kindness I've extended, and the inner peace I've cultivated. It's about knowing that I've lived authentically, that I've stayed true to my values, and that I've made a positive impact in the lives of others. One of the most important lessons I've learned as I've grown older is the importance of living in the present moment. For much of my life, I was focused on the future, planning ahead, worrying about what might happen, and constantly striving for something more. I lived with the belief that happiness was something to be achieved in the future, that once I reached a certain point, I would finally feel content. But as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that the present moment is all we truly have. Happiness doesn't come from a future achievement. It comes from appreciating what we have right now. I've learned to slow down and savor the small moments, whether it's a quiet morning with a cup of tea, a conversation with a loved one, or simply watching the sunset. These moments, small as they may seem, are where true happiness resides. Another realization I've had is the importance of forgiveness. In my earlier years, I held on to grudges and past hurts, convinced that they were justified and that holding on to them somehow protected me. But with time, I've come to understand that forgiveness isn't about letting others off the hook. It's about freeing myself from the weight of resentment. Holding on to anger or regret only hurts me, and it prevents me from moving forward. I've learned that forgiving others, and even myself, is an act of self-love. It's about releasing the past and making space for peace and healing. The relationships I've formed over the years have also played a significant role in my growth. I've come to understand that true connections are built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. I no longer waste time on relationships that drain me or make me feel less than I am. Instead, I focus on the people who lift me up, who challenge me to be better, and who offer me love and support without conditions. I've also learned the value of letting go of toxic relationships, even when it's difficult. Sometimes, the people we love the most aren't the healthiest for us, and it's okay to set boundaries or walk away if it means protecting our well-being. As I reflect on my life, I realize that aging has granted me a new sense of freedom, a freedom to be myself without apology, to embrace my flaws and imperfections, and to take risks without fear of judgment. I no longer feel the need to conform to society's expectations or follow a prescribed path. I've learned that the only expectations I need to meet are my own. I've learned that it's okay to change, to evolve, and to pursue new passions and interests at any age. Life doesn't end at a certain age. In fact, it's just another beginning. What I've discovered through all of this is that true fulfillment comes from within. It's about aligning with my values, nurturing my mental and emotional well-being, and cultivating relationships that bring me joy. It's about living in the moment and finding contentment in the simple things. The external achievements and accolades are nice, but they don't define me. What defines me is how I treat myself and others, how I choose to live my life, and the legacy of love and kindness that I leave behind. As I continue to evolve, I realize that the process of self-discovery is never linear. There are moments when I feel confident and grounded, knowing exactly who I am and what I want out of life. Yet, there are also times of uncertainty when I question my path or feel lost in the midst of change. But I've come to understand that these moments of doubt are not signs of failure. They are part of the human experience. Life is constantly shifting, and with it, so are we. The key is learning how to navigate these changes with grace and resilience. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned over time is that it's okay to not have all the answers. When I was younger, I often felt pressured to know exactly what my next step should be, whether in my career, relationships, or personal life. I felt like I had to have a clear plan, and if I didn't, I feared I would fall behind or make a mistake that I couldn't recover from. Now, I see that life is less about having a rigid plan and more about being open to the unknown. It's about trusting that the right opportunities will come, even if they don't arrive in the way I expect. Embracing the unknown has also allowed me to take risks I once would have avoided. I've learned that the fear of failure can be paralyzing, but it's also what keeps us from growing. If I'm never willing to step out of my comfort zone, I'll never discover what I'm truly capable of. Whether it's pursuing a new career, moving to a different city, or starting a new hobby, every risk I've taken has contributed to my personal growth. Some risks have paid off in ways I couldn't have imagined, while others have been learning experiences, teaching me valuable lessons along the way. Either way, they've been essential in shaping the person I've become. Along with embracing change and uncertainty, I've also come to value the importance of self-compassion. For so long, I was my harshest critic. I would beat myself up over mistakes, failures, and missed opportunities. It wasn't until I started practicing self-compassion that I began to truly heal and grow. Being kind to myself has made a world of difference. When I stumble, I remind myself that it's okay to be imperfect. I no longer judge myself so harshly for the mistakes I make. Instead, I try to view them with curiosity and understanding as opportunities for growth rather than evidence of failure. This shift in perspective has helped me become more resilient and less fearful of making mistakes in the future. Alongside self-compassion, I've come to recognize the importance of setting boundaries. For much of my life, I was a people pleaser, often saying yes to things that didn't align with my values or desires, simply because I didn't want to disappoint others. Over time, I realized that this tendency was draining my energy and causing resentment. Setting boundaries, whether it's saying no to extra responsibilities, stepping back from toxic relationships, or prioritizing my own needs, has been one of the most empowering decisions I've made. It's allowed me to focus on what truly matters to me and to surround myself with people who respect and support my choices. As I continue on my journey of self-discovery, I've also learned the importance of embracing vulnerability. For years, I believed that vulnerability was a weakness, that to be strong, I had to keep my emotions in check and never show signs of struggle. But as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that vulnerability is, in fact, a strength. It's the willingness to be authentic, to express my feelings, and to ask for help when I need it. Vulnerability allows me to connect with others on a deeper level and to show up as my true self. It's also been a source of healing, helping me process emotions and experiences that I once buried out of fear of being judged or misunderstood. Another lesson I've learned is the importance of patience, both with myself and others. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become impatient, to expect instant results, and to want everything to happen right away. But I've come to appreciate that growth takes time. Whether it's personal growth, relationships, or career progression, things don't always unfold as quickly as we'd like. I've learned to trust the timing of my life, to have faith that things are falling into place even when I can't see it right away. This patience has allowed me to enjoy the process rather than constantly chasing the next milestone. Ultimately, the journey of self-discovery has taught me that life is about embracing both the joys and the challenges. It's about being open to change, learning from every experience, and finding meaning in the moments that often feel small or insignificant. It's about cultivating self-love, accepting that I'm worthy of happiness and peace, and allowing myself to grow into the person I'm meant to be. Through all of the ups and downs, I've learned that the most important relationship I'll ever have is with myself. The more I nurture and care for this relationship, the more I am able to show up for others and live a life that aligns with my true self. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on how you're spending your time and energy. Embrace what truly matters and make sure to protect your peace.